I see the 5 opportunities for the SOA. Becoming better known through public policy. Issuing timely reports on public issues that involve actuarial areas of practice. By issuing reports to the general public rather than to regulators and legislators, we can complement what the Academy does. I'm sure we can all be just as objective in writing reports for the SOA as we are when we write them for the Academy. The second area is providing educational opportunities for actuaries to qualify for those jobs in big data that I talked about. Number 3 is in international growth. This helps build our brand. Number 2, it makes people hear, when they hear somebody's an actuary, that they know this person is qualified and follows professional standards. And third, there are countries like India where U.S. companies are hiring hundreds of actuaries, yet India does not recognize the SOA credential. The fourth area is having the NAIC accept our general insurance track and our FSAs being recognized as qualified to sign the P&C annual statement. The fifth area is encouraging our business professionals to pursue the Certified Actuarial Analyst certification. This helps build our brand in the U.S. and abroad. I mean, why wouldn't we want our business professionals that are supporting actuaries to have basic education in actuarial science and follow a code of professional conduct? It may even encourage some data analysts and statisticians to become actuaries. I think there are several big opportunities for both actuaries and the SOA. I'm very bullish about the actuarial profession and what actuaries are capable of doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be running for President-Elect. Regarding opportunities for actuaries, I see 3 of them. Number 1, what makes us unique? What makes us unique is that we are the only professionals who understand the mathematics of contingencies. And number 2 is we understand the businesses. Therefore, we're not going to be replaced overnight. I think there'll be plenty of good positions for us in our current positions. The second area is that there are plenty of complex issues in which actuaries play a major role. Let me mention 3 of those. One is healthcare in the U.S., although costs are growing globally. This is something I understand well, and as President-Elect, I would be a knowledgeable spokesperson. The second area is the aging population and the status of long-term care insurance. And the third area is retirement issues, the adequacy or inadequacy of public and private pension plans, the inadequate personal savings, and the future of the Social Security system. Number 3 is there are roles in big data and predictive analytics, both in our own companies and in the scores of new companies in InsurTech. Actuaries need to learn these new technologies, and there will be plenty of opportunities for them. The strategic plan has 11 goals, and they're all aimed at 2 ideals. Number 1 is maintaining actuaries as the experts and leaders in measuring and managing risk. That's the SOA's mission. Number 2 is improving our visibility so that we are the sought-after professionals to solve complex financial problems. That's our vision. It's also my personal vision. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of people coming up to me and asking me, when am I going to die? I wanted to at least recognize actuaries as the architects of their personal protection products in life, health, retirement, auto and home, Social Security and Medicare. And I want them to read and hear about actuaries' expert and unbiased analysis on complex issues that I referenced earlier. So it's hard to separate the goals, but the key elements of the strategic plan for maintaining our expertise are related to education. Number 1 is delivering education that anticipates stakeholder needs. And that applies to both pre and post ASA, FSA. Number 2 is incorporating up-to-date methods in our work. And number 3 is supporting a global perspective for all actuaries. There are 2 parts of the plan for increasing our influence, and they're related to research and inclusion. So number one is organizing ourselves to produce research on a more timely basis on key industry and societal issues. I mean, it took 18 months, but we have now reorganized our research and have announced 6 areas in which we are seeking proposals. But in addition, in order to have a more timely response on issues, each area of practice should have teams ready to jump on issues as they arise. The second area I mentioned is cultivating diversity. This will help grow our influence with all segments of our global population and improve our internal decision making. To do these goals effectively, though, we need to harness the 3 organizational goals. Number one is proactively and continuously analyzing the environment for threats and opportunities. Your board has conducted environmental scanning on long-term care, public pensions, artificial intelligence, and insurtech. And you can help by submitting your ideas to our online database that is monitored by SOA staff. It's like the signs say at the airport: if you see something, say something. Another organizational initiative is making decisions more efficiently. Where we can improve is having a better process for deciding on actions, creating a timetable, assigning responsibility, and having the president and executive director follow up. And the third area is continuing our great progress in communicating and cooperating with other actuarial organizations in the US, Canada, and around the world. But I want to make some further comments about education. I'm glad advanced statistics and predictive analytics are now on the syllabus. I've supported these changes for years, and I wish we had done it sooner. I mean, why shouldn't actuaries be considered the experts in statistics? And certainly health actuaries have been using predictive analytics for years. There was a big rush for candidates to become associates before the syllabus change. I hope they will take the time to learn topics, as these skills will be important for their future. Indeed, all actuaries should take time to learn them. I know that's what I'm doing. I think the next topic in which we need to improve our skills is in programming. It's required for many entry-level jobs, in particular life, health, and P&C. We should start conducting seminars now in R and C++ and other languages. And we should also add information on insurtech to the syllabus. There are 2 topics here. One is the technology of artificial intelligence and machine learning. The second is the insurtech companies that are using this new technology. For those of you who are not familiar with the term, insurtech refers to the application of technology to improve the delivery of insurance products, particularly in life, health, and P&C. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, data mining, imaging, predictive analytics are all technologies used by the insurtech companies. But these are also technologies that can be harnessed by actuaries to improve the way we do our own work. As a presenter at the recent annual AIBA meeting said, new technology can change our roles from being stewards and technicians to catalysts and strategists. Indeed, applications already exist that simplify more routine work, such as calculating reserves. There's machine learning that writes valuation actuary memoranda and that automatically rewrite them as assets and liabilities are changed during the evaluation process. It can help us do more accurate reserving, such as individual reserving. And it can help us design products based on individual characteristics, such as daily auto insurance, where one pays how and when the car is used. And there are companies that will help actuaries reduce healthcare costs, such as Atomwise, which speeds up the delivery of research and development on drugs, and Chronotherapeutics, that combines wearable biometrics with drug delivery. And another one is Patientory, that uses blockchain-enabled hospitals and physician offices to share electronic medical records, even if they use different systems. So actuaries generally like to embrace new technology, and we could integrate it with our knowledge of the industry, our knowledge of behavioral economics, and give our companies a competitive edge. Actuaries, however, need to be careful not to use AI and predictive analytics to introduce unfair biases, such as creating redlining situations where certain individuals are not offered competitive products, say due to race or geography. So does this mean that fewer actuaries will be needed in the future? I think not. Not as long as we continue to adapt our skills. It means that our roles will change, training may change, but with hundreds of new companies starting up, there will be new opportunities. Now, the second part of the question concerns the insurtech companies who are using this new technology. So the SOA board has discussed twice this year the presence of insurtech companies on the industry. And we have a task force to gather in-depth knowledge. Now, some of the things that we learned are that there's not a surprise, a strong focus on data and programming. Everyone is expected to be conversant in programming. There are also business processes typical to startup companies, such as a hackathon, where teams compete to develop and program new business ideas. I mean, this is a technique that actuaries should also copy. These companies take small risks, and they try to follow the 80-20 rule. These companies don't think an actuary is needed. Others say that they want an actuary to be involved in vetting the insured risk once the business moves beyond early stages. And some think actuaries are too expensive. But we know that as the business grows, it may be more expensive for them not to hire an actuary. So here are some steps the SOA should consider. One is introduce actuaries to insurtechs early and often. We should develop a guidebook, say Actuarial Science 101. We should create mentorships for employees in insurtech companies. We can help regulators understand new technology and make sure there is fairness between traditional and new companies. We can also sponsor research to validate the use of new data and analytical techniques, and this will help spearhead practice development. So will traditional insurers lose market share? Or will they incorporate these new techniques in-house, either by buying or hiring these companies? Let me just give two examples. One is Policy Genius, that sells term insurance without an agent. Given that the average age of an agent is 59, this may be a disruptor. Another potential disruptor is Oscar, which is becoming a major health insurance insurer in New York and other states. Oscar wants insurance to easily understand its policies, make bills and claims easy to understand, and simplify business with mobile apps and web links. Frankly, all health insurers want to do that. The question is, can Oscar control the 90% of the premium dollar that goes to pay healthcare costs? To date, they have lost hundreds of millions of dollars. On the other hand, Humana has formed a partnership with Oscar in one or two markets. Perhaps Humana and Oscar can learn from each other. The key point here is that through environmental scanning, we are aware of the threats and opportunities. The world isn't going to change overnight, but we need to take steps now so that actuaries can play important roles in these new companies. Many associations today are concerned with how they get their young professionals more engaged. When one divides the SOA members into generational blocks, the millennials, currently those under age 39, form the largest block. Now, more of them are associates and more of them live outside of North America. But when you restrict the analysis to just fellows in North America, we find that they are less engaged than the other generational blocks. So here are my thoughts as someone who is on the leading edge of the baby boomer generation. Let's ask them what they want. Why are they not engaged? Unfortunately, the SOA is already doing this, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Number two, let's find out how they want us to communicate with them and how often. Indeed, I hear members of all ages say that the SOA maybe communicates with them too often and they're not always opening up the emails we send them. Number 3, we should continue to recruit at the fellowship admission course, but we should follow that up within 3 months and specifically invite individuals to participate on a specific committee, task force, or research project. We should add positions for young professionals on the section council. And why not start a section for young professionals? We should produce testimonials from young professionals who are engaged as how engagement has helped them with their careers. We should continue the experiment of offering free section membership. And why not promote a reduction in registration fees for those who are volunteering on committees? I know this worked as an incentive at Humana. For actuaries who want to attend meetings every year, they need to volunteer for a committee. And it worked for me 40 years ago at the Prudential, who did the same thing. The issue of engaging the millennial generation, as I said, is not unique to the SOA. But the SOA is participating in a National Association lab where we have a task force that is working to answer the question, how could the SOA best meet the needs of its members within the first 5 years of attaining fellowship? This team is interviewing young professionals and will report to the board with their recommendations. In addition, they will develop measurements of success that we will track going forward. This is an initiative I fully support. Indeed, I think we should follow up on this initiative with how to better engage retirees and those ASAs who are no longer taking exams, but have a wealth of experience to contribute to the SOA. So how would I support the SOA's goal to expand in international markets? Well, starting out, I do support the findings of the board's task force, which was adopting SOA education to international markets. This task force conducted on-location interviews in Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, Bogota, and Mexico City, and they met with various stakeholders, including members, candidates, employers, regulators, and academics. So here's what we learned. Number 1 is they want us to continue the offered exams in English. Indeed, proficiency in English is considered a business asset in these countries. Not surprisingly, they asked for more international material, such as on the international accounting standards, the IFRS and solvency standards in particular. Number 3, regarding special FSA modules, as we have in Hong Kong and Taiwan, we agreed that if there's enough interest and sufficient local expertise, that we would consider this in these countries. So number 4, we would coordinate delivery of international continuing professional development offerings by working with local associations as much as possible. So once again, we are asking the E&E committee to develop syllabus changes and exam changes. With my years of E&E experience, I know what is involved, and I want to let you know how much your work is appreciated, as education is at the heart of what the SOA does. But finally, internationally, we need to expand to more countries. For example, North American countries like the Met are hiring hundreds of actuaries in India, which currently doesn't support the SOA credential. I'm willing to travel as much as necessary and practical to countries where we have members and where we want to grow. So why am I the best choice for President-Elect? As I said in my video message, I am passionate about the actuarial profession and what actuaries can accomplish. And I want us to remain highly respected and ever more influential. I urge you to take a look at my biography, my election message, my questionnaire. I believe that the leadership I have exhibited in my career, in education and research, and in the wealth of volunteer roles, makes me the best candidate. Furthermore, this is an ideal time, as I have the time and energy to commit to the SOA for the next 3 years. There are 3 areas that differentiate me from Andy and Tom, besides our personalities. Number 1 is my work experience as a CFO or chief actuary at 4 well-respected companies. Number 2 is my long history of volunteering within the SOA and in other organizations and boards. And number 3 is my vision for the future. An important role for a presidential officer is being an ambassador. I've effectively been an ambassador for the SOA my entire career. From my first position to my last position, I've been either the top actuary or the only actuary in my business unit and company. In fact, I never reported to an actuary except once, and he was in a non-actuarial role at that time. One learns very quickly to build relationships and prove one's competence. My most recent experience was as chief actuary of Yamana. Most of the actuaries reported up through business units and not directly to me. Therefore, collaboration and trust needed to be established over 2 years with not only the lead actuaries, most of whom were career ASAs, but also the business leaders, to accomplish what I wanted. Together, we achieved key objectives such as peer review of actuarial opinions, a required rotational program for all actuaries, and a strong emphasis on fellowship. Also, under my direction at Yamana, we built an actuarial community of over 500 credentialed actuaries, student actuaries, and business professionals. A top priority for me was creating opportunities for learning and growth so that all of them could achieve their maximum potential. That is why I was a big supporter of the Certified Actuarial Analyst designation, and also why I want to harness the experience of career ASAs. I've already spoken about my extensive experience within the SOA and other organizations, not only as a volunteer, but as a volunteer leader, particularly in education, research, and healthcare policy. As a result, I have a strong understanding of how the SOA works and lots of experience in achieving consensus and getting things done through volunteers. In addition, you might have noticed that healthcare has been in the news lately. Indeed, it's always been in the news, as far back as when I was Prudential's business unit CFO. That's why I love being a health actuary, and with my experience, I would be a knowledgeable spokesman for the SOA. So Andy and I can both be proud of how dynamic and forward-thinking the board has become. Andy was appointed treasurer, and as treasurer, he's been chair of the finance committee. I served on the finance committee all 3 years, and I'm equally versed in the budget and investment policy. I spent 2 years on the government and policy committee, where in addition to developing and leaders, we conduct an orientation session for all board members and a day-and-a-half leadership meeting for all chairs and vice chairs of every SOA committee. We conduct self-assessments of the board and of board members. Finally, we review the mission and policy statement of each of the committees of the board, and therefore I have a good familiarity with how the SOA board works. One of the things that we recently done at the board's request was to increase the diversity on the leadership team by adding an additional non-presidential member besides the treasurer. And what we have done is given the board much more input on how the president chooses these 2 non-presidential leaders. Regarding our vision, some see lots of threats and obstacles from international competition and from technology. I understand those threats, but I see lots of opportunities. It seems that every generation of actuaries has faced threats. I remember when the fear of computers was going to take over our work. And then the MBAs were going to take over our work. And now it's the data analysts and programmers who could take over our work. I mean, these threats are real, and we need to prepare future and current actuaries to learn new skills and combine them with our unique expertise. I will be proactive in advocating change and pushing for quick implementation when warranted. One cannot predict the issues that will come before the leadership team and the board over the next 3 years. But I can commit to the following 6 principles. 1 is to incorporate new methods and technology in our work. Number 2 is to deliver rigorous and relevant education in all actuarial fields. Number 3 is to grow our global perspective. Number 4 is to publish research and actuarial guidance on a timely basis. Number 5 is to continue to improve cooperation among the U.S., Canadian, and international actuarial organizations. And finally, to create opportunities for engagement for all our members, from those under age 40 to those who are retired.